Welcome back, everybody. The OT with Nick and Frankie show is back. We've been waiting for this show to re-air now for what, Nick? 2-3 weeks? I don't even know where you've been, bro. Where you been?
It's been like 6 weeks.
Unbelievable, dude. It's like the last time I could not think about COVID. You know, it's been crazy, dude.
But COVID's over.
Yeah. Actually, yesterday was the first day I went to the gym, and about 50% of the gym people didn't have their masks on. Honestly, it was great to see. I will say that it was nice finally to work out and not have to breathe and sweat. But yeah, I know where you live, Nick. People haven't been wearing masks for a year now, so yeah, let's be honest. But yeah, welcome back, everybody, to the OT with Nick and Frankie show. We have a big show for you all today. We'll be joined in about 15 to 20 minutes with Ian Rapoport, NFL Network's own, the GOAT, as we like to refer to him here at uSTADIUM. As always, make sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel, and download the uSTADIUM app. If you're not on the app, go to uSTADIUM.com/download and check out the app. If you don't have the app, I don't know what the heck you're doing with yourself, honestly. But yeah, we have a packed show today. Get in the comments, live chat. We'll try to feature as many of you all as possible throughout the course of the show. But yeah, Nick, got any words before we dive into it?
Yeah, I just saw that Washington released Morgan Moses, their tackle. They were looking to trade. I guess they didn't find any takers for him, so they cut him, saved some money, and he's free to sign with anybody in the league. I'm sure anybody can. Any team can use a solid starting right tackle, mainly the Bengals. So, I mean, I think they should be all over that. They should have probably slid them a 7th-round pick to kind of keep them off the market. But that's a quality offensive lineman on, May 20th available. And so that's pretty big news.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in the season, you're going to see some signings for fits and needs. So you might see some surprising stuff happening, maybe a few trades along the way. But yeah, getting into trades and crazy stuff happening in the offseason. Today, my boy signed, Nick, Timmy Tebow. We had big news today. Timmy Tebow officially signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars. A 6th tight end on their roster. There's not even 6 good tight ends in the NFL, but the Jaguars loaded up with their 6th tight end in Tim Tebow. Honestly, I'm a big fan of the move, but I know we'll ask you about that in about a second. And also the Falcons apparently are looking to move on from Julio. So we have a 6th tight end on a roster, and then we have the best wide receiver in the NFL in the same news cycle. So that's pretty
a little bit different sides of the spectrum right there. A guy who has no business being on an NFL team and probably one of the best pass catchers in football. So that's what you get in the middle of May as we wait for 4 months until the season.
Yeah, I know. And the season seems like it's right around the corner, man. Like that's what it is about football. They do such a good job of planning things. And I feel like even the news, the way it breaks sometimes is planned in a sense. And we're actually going to ask Ian about that soon. How is news broken, on your end? Where do you get your sources from? How does that work? I think getting a little insight into the inside of how an NFL insider works is pretty interesting. Damn, dude, I got to get back to freestyling, Nick.
That was pretty nice. Yeah, you always get like the wise asses on Instagram and Twitter when you post a story and they're like source, like, so it's interesting. We're going to ask Ian source, like, how does he get his? Or obviously he's not going to tell us who they are or how he goes about fully getting them, but just want to get like a look into like how the news. I think that's like a very fascinating look into something we all love so much and follow every day is like breaking news in sports. So getting like a little bit of insight from, in my opinion, the best breaking news reporter right now. So I think that would be really cool to hear how and what Ian is willing to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And just playing off that, speaking of wise asses on Instagram, I literally today on the uSTADIUM app, I was going to post an audio saying random pet peeve of mine. The wise asses in the comments section that
Alex.
I post something like, oh, do the Lakers have a legit shot to win the NBA Finals? All of a sudden, you have people saying, well, they're in the playoffs. Doesn't every team have a shot? You know what I'm saying, man. Yeah, I said legit shot, too. I'm not just saying shot because I know what's going to happen. Or it's like on Instagram, if you post, this player will underscore in 2021, will play football, will breathe. It's like, dude, are you serious, man? But I can go on and on about the Instagram.
Let's talk about Tim Tebow.
Yeah, we were the wise asses on Instagram at a point.
That's true.
I feel like with your burner account, we kind of do the same thing still.
I know what you're talking about.
All right, Nick, real quick, Tebow, do you care or do you not care about the Jaguars signing Tim Tebow? What are your thoughts?
I don't care, and it sucks because I like Tebow. I like him. I like his story. I like what he's about. I don't care because it's been way too long. He should have done this and swallowed his pride about 10 years ago and made the transition from bootleg quarterback that he is to tight end or H-back or fullback or whatever and changed positions. He could have had a longer career. Just follows in line with what has been a disappointing offseason, in my opinion, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know our own Mike here is going to be pissed about it. I know some of the Jaguar fans out there are going to be pissed at me for saying that, but Urban Meyer hated the hire. That's a nice rhyme right there, speaking of freestyle. Love Trevor Lawrence, obviously, but I didn't think they made many great free agency moves. Their draft outside of Lawrence, obviously. I love ETN as a player, but I don't love him going to Jacksonville because of already having they had such a value in James Robinson last year as an undrafted guy, to go then spend a high priority first round pick on Travis Etienne kind of like negates that value there a little bit for me. So I didn't love what the Jaguars did. And then you add Tim Tebow, again, not against him. I'm all for him trying to get back into the league and whatever it is. I'm all for anybody to try to find a role for themselves. But for Jacksonville to bring him in when you're trying to nurture a young quarterback in Lawrence just doesn't make any sense for me.
I disagree with you, and I disagree because I actually think that Tebow has a legit shot at the starting quarterback job in Jacksonville.
Don't laugh. Urban Meyer's there.
I'm a sick man. There's some of me that's like, you know what? I kind of want to see Tebow just get a half out there. Imagine maybe Lawrence isn't ready the first game. Let Tebow go out and run some option reads.
This is exactly why it's a problem, though, because I know you're kidding, but the Tebow cult, and you can't spell culture without cult. The Tebow culture, the Tebow cult is thinking exactly what you're saying. You know
what's sick? I think at some point I was in the Tebow cult. I think sometimes you have to admit it. In life, I just feel like it's a big thing. Just admit it when you're gone, when you've gone too far. I was in the Tebow cult. I'll come out and say it. And I got out of it, but when stuff like this happens, you kind of want to go back in. It's like, I miss those days.
So you're a born again Tebow?
Yes, I'm a born again Tebow culter. TCL, we say Tebow cult life. But I like it because I like him. I think I like him as a person, as a leader. I don't think he's going to go in there and try to win the starting job or affect Lawrence in a negative way. So I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. I don't think it has anything to do with Kaepernick. I think Urban Meyer likes Tim Tebow as a person and wants him in that locker room under any means necessary, and that's it. So, but moving on to a player that is going to make an impact regardless of where he ends up and play day one and be maybe the best at his position is Julio Jones. There are rumors today. I've been hearing about the Washington football team, been hearing stuff about the Packers, bunch of crazy stuff out there in the world of sports or social media and sports. Nick, do you think a trade happens? What would it look like? And give us a few teams you think that could end up being Julio's next home.
Yeah, I think a trade is possible because you have a motivated side, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. They seem like they're willing and ready and even shopping him. He's due $15 million, I think, this year. So obviously being that it's May-ish, May 20-ish, whatever it is, that takes out a lot of teams that may have made a run for him and figured out their cap situation a different time, earlier if this was, say, March 20th. So you do have some teams who could have made a run at him but can't because of the cap situation. But I do think there'd be teams who are willing to, because he is so good, to kind of, whether it's cut somebody, restructure a deal, just do whatever they can to kind of manipulate the cap. And we've seen, look what the Giants did to their cap situation to make it work. Maybe Julio signs an extension, he rips up his deal, he makes less this year and more in the coming 2 years. But I think it's more likely than possible that he's gone. And I think Atlanta, like I said, it makes no sense to me why you go out and get a guy like Kyle Pitts for overall, keep Matt Ryan and then trade Julio. Isn't the reason why you're keeping Matt Ryan and getting a guy like Kyle Pitts is to completely go all in on your offense, and then you're going to trade your best, probably your franchise's best player ever. So the thought process behind it for the Falcons doesn't make much sense to me, but it seems like they're motivated to do it. And there's going to be teams out there, obviously the Ravens, Splash's team, the Niners, the Patriots, the Colts, the Chargers. And one team that it seems like a move they would make is the Raiders, like the Las Vegas Raiders. It's such a move for them. Maybe they trade Henry Ruggs and a second-round pick, or Henry Ruggs and a third, or just a second and a third next year, something along the lines there, and they can, mess with their cap to get it happen, to make it happen. They're opening this new stadium in prime time Monday night. They want to make this big splash move. Julio is like the guy that Al Davis would have went crazy for. So I could totally see the Raiders going all out and coming out of nowhere and making a big move. A few years ago, they made a late summer move, trading Khalil Mack for draft picks. I could see them making a late summer move again and acquiring Julio Jones with opening up the new stadium in prime time. So it smells like a Raiders move to me. And if they can make it work financially and they can come up with somebody, the picks or players or a mix of both that can kind of appease the Falcons, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I think Julio's going to get moved, but I actually disagree with the premise that he's going to go to a team like the Raiders. I think Julio's going to go to a team that's looking to win, a team that's looking to add to their offensive core and actually get to a point where they can get over the edge. You're looking at a team like the Steelers, the Ravens, the Titans, the Packers, maybe even also. So I'm thinking the Saints. I mean, I think a team like that's going to say, "Oh, I'll give the Falcons 2 first-round picks, and then we'll be able to effectively, bring in Julio." I think that would make more sense more than anything.
The issue is you're talking about the cap, and you named a bunch of teams that are in cap trouble. And two, when you talk about like the Packers or the Saints, like they're going to probably want to shift him out of the NFC and trade him to an AFC team. But I mean, obviously that's not everything, but I could totally see them wanting to get him out of the NFC.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that also, but I think a deal's a deal. So, I mean, it's wherever it makes sense, I think. Julio only going to the Steelers if he has a TikTok account. That is true, man. Lucas, I actually agree with that. That's like a prerequisite with the Steelers, right? You need a TikTok account. They're saying to join the team. So I think Ben just created one, but he –
Oh, did he? He blocked everyone?
Yeah, he has, a bunch of 13 and 14-year-old girls making dance videos for him. No, that was not a good joke. But all right, Ian is about to join us soon. Everyone make sure out there to post your comments, questions for Ian, like the stream, subscribe to uSTADIUM on YouTube. And as always, download the uSTADIUM app. We have a lot of contests coming up. So we're going to do a lot of team-based contests in the next week. So contests for Packers fans, for Ravens fans, etc. We're gonna countdown clock it. We're gonna come back and we'll come back with Ian hopefully in the next 5 minutes. We have a topic for him. Who he thinks is gonna get moved, Watson or Rodgers. So we will be back. We'll countdown clock it. We're gonna take a commercial break and then we'll be right back. All right, so we're waiting for Ian to get back. He is going to call in momentarily. We have one topic we're going to get into, and then Ian will join the show, and we'll ask him about these topics. Splash is working right now on getting him on camera and whatnot. All right, Nick, right now, the big news on the table that everyone's talking about is Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers. Watson recently posted a workout video, and we haven't seen him post anything now for months since this whole scandal broke. There he is getting a little bit of work done over there. There we are. Bam. Let's
nice
go,
play-by-play.
kid. Yes, that's how you got to do it, man. He's got that pop, man. This is a good quarterback. I really hope he ends up somewhere good. And it's not going to be in Houston, I'll tell you that. Rodgers was recently linked with John Elway on the golf course and a bunch of other places, like the Kentucky Derby and whatnot, which we'll talk with Ian about. He's a big Kentucky Derby guy. But Nick, who gets moved who's most likely to get moved, Watson or Rodgers? What do you?
I would just say Watson, just because of everything that's happened. I think that's a little bit too far gone, more than like the Rodgers situation. I think Rodgers has done so much more for that organization. He's a proven winner. They're a team that's going to compete this year, whereas the Texans obviously aren't. So I would say, both could get moved. I just don't see Rodgers getting moved, but I could see Watson for sure. It just seems like that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But who's better to ask about this stuff than the one and only Ian? We're throwing you on. Ian, I don't know if your camera's on. If you want to do just audio, it's fine. We did want to see you. You're a handsome guy, so we wanted to put you on for the world to see. But Ian, welcome to OT with Nick and Frankie on uSTADIUM. How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? How are you? Yeah, I would do the video thing, but I'm driving. Just had a nice Peloton workout, so hopefully the audio only works for your listeners as well as your viewers.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. It's all good, and don't want you any more distracted, obviously. So we're joined, everybody, by NFL Network insider Ian Rapoport. I'm sure if you aren't following him already, I don't know what you've been doing, or I don't know what's going on, but you can follow him as always at Rap Sheet on Twitter, on the Instagram. I missed the grilling videos you used to do, Rap. Are those coming back?
Yeah, I would say. Part of the problem is, it's spring and it's awesome, but my kids do so many sports now that actually finding time to grill is difficult. But hopefully back soon, and I got a couple of things in mind to play out.
Yeah, I hear you. It's tough having a 1-year-old here too. I can only imagine with two of them running around. But let's save the grilling again for summer. We'll talk beer, we'll talk food in a little bit before we get you out of here. But let's talk about the draft that just obviously happened last month. It's crazy. It's been about a month already. It's a two-part question. One, your biggest surprise of the draft, whether it was a selection, a non-selection, a trade, and part two, was there a move or two, and I always like to throw these out because the Twitter world loves it, the hypotheticals. Was there a move that was close to happening that you heard, but for whatever reason kind of broke down at the last minute and didn't happen?
All right, well, we'll go with the first biggest surprise. And to me, it sort of has to start with the 49ers, right? I mean, I would say by draft night, and, they came to me probably 5 minutes before the 49ers made the pick, and they hadn't told anyone yet. And so I had to go on and be like, here's what I think. And I had sort of convinced myself it was Trey Lance at that point. And I think most people in the NFL thought it was Trey Lance, but nobody knew. So, that was a good surprise. And, it's weird when a team decides to kind of just be like, we're going to keep it a complete.
I think he's breaking.
Hey, Ian, you were breaking up there. Ian, we lost you there for a second. All right, I guess when he is able to call back in or reconnect, we'll be able to hear you. Ian, we can't hear you currently. But yeah, that was the big thing.
Interesting one. Yeah,
that was
the quarterback one.
It's amazing to think that nobody really knew with the 49ers that they were selecting Trey Lance. I mean, they kept that airtight. So
it was funny because
wild.
Everybody felt like they knew, and it was like Mac Jones. You had it felt like it was like 90-10 Mac Jones when the trade happened because you had so many people connected with the Niners saying it. And then as it went on, it was like, maybe it's Justin Fields. And then it was like, the Trey Lance talk started happening, and I, for one, was like, between what I heard that Fields wasn't really in the question, wasn't really in the cards for them. I kept like going back and forth. Like I think I did the 2 different mocks. One was Lance, the last one was Mac Jones. So I just kept saying to myself, do you really trade all the way up for Mac Jones? And nothing against Mac, obviously, but I don't know if he's the type of player you trade up for. I think he's the kind of guy where, like what the Patriots did, you let him fall to you at 15 and you're happy about it. But, when you make a trade, you want a guy that you can see hoisting Lombardi. You can see, being that MVP when you're picking that high and when you're trading up like that. And I didn't see that from Mac Jones. But with Trey Lance, you could, if he reaches his maximum potential, and that ceiling that people think is sky high, that's the kind of guy you trade up for. So I'm not surprised that was, Ian's, big, I guess, kind of big topic or surprise. And, hopefully when he hops back on here and he gets connected again, he'll give us a little, maybe a move that we all kind of didn't know what was almost happening. Cause those are always fun. It's like 3 years from now, we always hear like, oh, the Patriots almost traded up for Jamar Chase. They had a deal in place and it fell apart at the last second. I always like hearing those what ifs, but hopefully
did you think,
a juicy one.
Question, did you think that the 49ers, if there wasn't all this public backlash against them for taking Mac Jones at that spot at 3, do you think that they would have taken Mac Jones? I mean, I feel like what happened was they wanted to take Mac Jones. All this backlash came out, and they were sitting there like, are we really doing this? Like, maybe these people know something we don't know. Let's reevaluate the situation. Yeah. Then they actually selected Trey Lance, which I think was a better pick. But yeah, everyone, we're trying to get – yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows the answer to that. And if that's the case, I don't think the 49ers front office or anyone in that organization would ever leak that info. But we're trying to get Ian back on. He was in a bad zone. We'll get him back on. We'll finish the interview with Ian. But yeah, just jumping in, Nick, I'm going to throw a question to you and everyone. Yeah, we're going to try right now to get Ian back on. So I know people are asking. Nick, so let's turn our attention now to just rumors on the rumor mill. What are you hearing out there, and where do you see some of these top free agents landing, like a Richard Sherman or Steven Nelson? I know who you chat with, or KJ Wright, Melvin Ingram. I mean, what are you hearing right now on that front?
Yeah. So, hold on. He's saying needs a link. 1 sec. Sorry.
Oh, he needs the link. All right, let's send him.
Yeah.
Nick, you have the link for him?
I believe so. If you want to just kick it to me again.
All right. Sorry, everyone. We're trying to get Ian on. This is what happens when you're trying to run everything over here. You know what I mean? I don't even know where's Splash today. Splash, are you around, dude? Jeez, can't even depend. Splash took off today. Nick's taking off every other week. We only got Jack back on. It's unbelievable.
All right, we got his link. Where was I? You asked me. Oh, Sherman. I still think it's going to be a situation where he's going to wait for a competitive team. Like the Saints, I could see it happening back somewhere more on the West Coast. I know the Saints aren't West Coast necessarily, but he wants to go to a contender. I know everybody wants to think he's going to go to the Jets. It's not happening. Steven Nelson, he had a few teams, Buffalo, Cincinnati, a few other teams that were in on him. I don't think the Jets are going to spend anywhere on a corner right now. KJ Wright, I just think eventually he'll just end up back on a 1-year deal in Seattle. I know Dallas, there was mutual interest, but obviously they drafted 2 linebackers with Micah Parsons, obviously an LSU linebacker. I don't think that's going to happen, so I could see him ending up back in Seattle. And now Morgan Moses, I mean, this is a quality offensive lineman. This, late in the game, I could see Cincinnati with the cap space, plenty of need for a veteran offensive tackle. I know they have Riley Reif, but I think he would be somebody of interest to them. Rap says it's still not loading.
Nick, maybe you want to give him we can give him Splash's call-in number. You want to do that?
Yep.
Splash, if you want to get Ian on through the call-in number, that'd be best. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that we need a corner as Jeff fans, and I think Sherman and Steven Nelson out there for other teams are big assets for anyone besides the Jets. I mean, so those are two players that have veteran experience and have played at a high level. All right,
there we go. We got him.
Hey, you guys got me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's up, B?
About that.
Oh no,
No worries.
fine, man. No worries.
So the question
Where are you
was
in the Lincoln Tunnel? Lincoln Tunnel?
No, I'm going to pick my boys up at Ninja Warrior class, actually.
Oh, nice.
All right, so we won't kind of drag it out, for too long. So the question was,
fine.
I'll refresh
it.
it.
I apologize. I mean, if we want, we can also do it longer at a different time if you guys want. I apologize for this.
No, you're good. We're here. We're all on,
Okay.
and we can bang it out for sure. So the biggest surprise, you were getting into the situation with the Niners, and then a move that was closer than maybe we all heard or didn't hear at all.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go back. We'll go back to the Niners. Since it sounds like you guys didn't get me on that very much. You guys hear me okay now, though, right?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So I would say, yeah. I mean, Trey Lance going at 3, and they came to me right before the actual move happened. Probably 4 minutes before, and I didn't know for sure at that point. But based on the thoughts of people around the league, everything I put together, I figured it was going to be Lance. The fact that the 49ers, got endless videos from his passing coach, and they just seemed so interested for a team that was picking Mac Jones, where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would, if they've already decided on Mac Jones, why would they be, going after it this hard? So I figured it was going to be Lance, but I didn't really know, and nobody knew. So I liked that surprise. It's probably not a great situation for Mac Jones. He's probably the only one that didn't benefit from the surprise, but all the rest of us, it was really pretty cool. And then, I would say the team that, that didn't make a move that I kind of thought would, or a thing that almost happened, really the Saints not trading up. I mean, they made so many calls up and down, even into the top 10. If Lance was there at 7, 8, 9, maybe the Saints would have moved. If one of the corners was there a little later, maybe they would have come up. I mean, the Saints seemed to be the team that I thought would make a big move, but just didn't for whatever reason.
That's interesting, and that kind of takes us into what we just spoke about when we were killing time to get you back on, Ian. And again, we're joined by NFL Network insider Ian Rapoport. As always, follow him at RapSheet. We were talking about some of the veteran cornerbacks that are still out there, and some of these solid players who can help a lot of teams. Obviously, we just saw Morgan Moses get released, but Richard Sherman, Steven Nelson, KJ Wright, some of these guys, like, are you hearing anything that these guys could land anywhere soon, or is it kind of still a waiting game into camp?
I'm hearing that there's a lot of frustration from some of the, not just those guys, but really any veteran that's available now. There's no money.
Yeah.
I mean, usually this time of year it's tough anyway, but this is worse than ever because, the pandemic brought the cap down. Nobody wants to spend, and I think if they do want to spend, it's going to be on their own players, on extensions and that kind of thing. I just, I get it. I feel the frustration from some of these veterans. I don't know that there's an answer. And if you're some of these older guys, you played into your 30s, you made a lot of money. Do you want to play for the minimum? Do you want to play for $2 million? Like, probably not. I would also assume there's some veterans who didn't accept pay cuts who probably wish they could go back now and take them because it's just not a good economic environment for anyone.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, from a fan's perspective, sometimes you don't even think like that. You're thinking, oh, why is this player not signed? Why is Steven Nelson not getting any contract offers? It's crazy to think, but you're right. I mean, yeah. So Ian, I'm not sure if you're a betting man or not. I know you go to the Derby and you're a big Derby fan, but right now, if you had to put a bet on who's getting dealt first, Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers, where are you going?
I'm not a betting man. I mean, I do go to the Derby, but there's actually so much that I don't understand about the gambling world that it's almost comical. Like when I reported that the 49ers were down to 2 quarterbacks, Mac Jones or Trey Lance, a couple of days before the draft, and the line went crazy, I had no idea. Like, people started hitting me up, and I think they took the bets down or whatever, and I was like, what? Like, it's some, there's some things that are not in my wheelhouse that I'm really literally clueless on, and this was definitely one of them. So anyway, you know, I don't think Rodgers is getting dealt. I really
Interesting.
don't. If I'm the Packers, like, I don't see why you would. And I think the problem is, what compensation could make it worth it? Unless you're going to, unless we're talking like Russell Wilson for Aaron Rodgers and both teams end up with a franchise quarterback, like, I don't see why any trade makes sense. Because how many first-round picks could the Packers bring in to know that they're getting the next Aaron Rodgers? I mean, unless Jordan Love is already that, which I guess he could be, but we just don't have evidence of it. How could the Packers guarantee themselves that they're getting a future MVP before they trade one? That is the issue. So I don't know that it happened. Deshaun Watson, there's so much that needs to be sorted out before anyone even thinks about a trade. And I don't, if he does get traded, which who knows, we're talking about next year's draft pick. So is that even something that anybody would want to do? Like, would the Texans want to do that and just say, all right, we're just going to be bad this year? So I don't know that any of those things happen, but it is going to keep us talking for a little bit more in the offseason, which is great.
And like, especially with the Watson thing, like, because I know the conversation before before all this happened, and when you had the Jets, the Dolphins, all these other teams involved, was 3 first-round picks is where it starts. With the Texans now, with all this happening, that value obviously isn't where it was, and are they going to be willing to, kind of say, kind of amid a loss there and take, a first and a player or 2 first-round picks for a guy, or do you just wait it out? So it's such a hard situation for them to kind of, wrap their fingers around.
I would say that's a great question. I don't think the Texans would take 50 cents on the dollar.
Right.
And if I were them, I wouldn't either. I think we could fairly say he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, certainly top 10. Why would you trade him for anything less than all of the picks and everything you think he's worth? Right? Like, and I think that's part of the problem. Like, if the Texans weren't willing to do it before, I don't know that they would do it now for less. Could someone come up with an offer to make it impossible for them to not deal? I guess they could. But that's why, and look, these massive quarterback deals, mega quarterback deals, they happen so infrequently, because figuring out a value that actually makes sense is really hard. Just really, really hard. And because there's so many variables in the Deshaun Watson, it's probably harder than most.
Yeah. Ian, quick question. Our fans on the uSTADIUM app are constantly asking this question, and we wanted to just ask you and maybe give some insight. By the way, this interview, if you guys haven't gone to Razor Sports, I know that's Nick's boy. He made a lot of the tonight's show happen, so we want to give a shout out to Razor Sports. Check them out. Speaking of betting, they're a betting sports information company, so you definitely want to check them out. But Ian, real quick, everyone on our app's wondering, I am as well, how does news get broken? How do you get your hands on stuff? You don't have to be too specific, but just like generally speaking, will a team leak something out to you for PR purposes? Do you speak with people in the organization? How do you do it where you don't piss off someone in the process? How does that work?
I mean, if I was going to break news and not piss off someone, like, I would not break a lot of news. There's always someone not that happy. I mean, it's just the reality of it. I would say, leaks, like teams giving things for PR, happens much, much, much more infrequently than most people imagine. I would say for me, usually what happens is I find out a little rumor, a little tidbit, I start calling around, and eventually you get to either the team or the agent or the player, and you kind of go like, hey, like, I have this, I know this, it's going to come out, like, I'm going to report it. can you confirm? And usually people will go, all right, like, it's going to come out, like, report it. I would say 99.9% of the people understand what my job is, and the others who do similar jobs, and it's almost never like, why do you have to do that? But what I have tried to do, I would say in the last probably 2 or 3 years, is almost any time I break news, I will get in touch with either representative from the team or the player or the agent and just be like, hey, this is what I have. I'm going to report it. FYI, I'm giving you, because, like, if they're going to get pissed about it, they're going to get pissed about it anyway. Might as well tell them first so they're not blindsided, so at least they can compare their owner or their player or whatever. Just be upfront, and it's helped, I would say, my life a lot, and it has probably helped fewer people get pissed at me than would otherwise be upset.
That's cool. It's actually cool to know, and it helps, like, the building of the relationship part too. I mean, that's great, and because we get asked that all the time. I can imagine, Ian, like, you get that question, or if it's not the trolls on Twitter with the source question, I'm sure you get all the time. But that's cool to hear. To kind of the best in the business. Obviously, again, this is Ian Rapoport, NFL Network insider. Follow him at Rap Sheet on all the social platforms. It's cool to hear where you generate all this buzz and how you kind of decipher between what's legit and when to kind of put it out there. But with that being said, where is Julio Jones going? Is he getting traded? Let us know. What are your sources telling you now before you can break it on the Twitter?
Ian, we know man. That's what Nick says.
I'm not ruling out a Julio Jones trade. I know the Falcons are open to it. But similar to the Rodgers deal, it's going to be incredibly hard. Who's going to give up a first-round pick for a player who has, one of the worst contracts, really one of the worst contracts I've ever seen, honestly. It kills the team. It ties them to a player who's on the wrong side of 30, who's been injured, who missed parts of the season last year, who is awesome. So, if you're going to give up on someone like Julio, you're going to want to get a lot. But is a team going to want to give up a lot for a player who's been injured and a player, and you have the salary? To me, I think it would take an injury in training camp to a really, really, really good team where they go, we don't want to trade, we don't want to do this trade, but we have to because we're in the Super Bowl conversation, and this is the only way that we can fulfill a promise. That, to me, is the only way that it gets done. That said, I am now arrived at Ninja Warrior, so I have to go pick up my boys.
Okay. Everyone, thanks, Ian. We really appreciate that. We'll follow up at
guys.
some point.
Apologies for my technical issues. We'll do it again when I'm not juggling links and whatnot.
No worries, man.
No worries, man.
It.
Thank you so much, Ian.
All right. So as Frank mentioned before, Ian was brought to you by Razor Sports. Obviously, the guys there are great. Shoot them a follow. Log on to razorsport.com. Best high-level sports betting information you can find as we get closer to, I know the week 1 odds are out. You want to start betting on some under-overs for teams. Get there, get the information, subscribe. Tell John that the uSTADIUM boys sent you. He'll hook you up with some really good info. And speaking of good info, I think it's interesting. Ian doesn't really want to get into any of, like, the weeds with these trades because he knows, and we all know, it could happen at any time, right? So I don't, like I mentioned before, Frank, and I know you're somewhat in agreement, like the Rodgers trade I don't think is going to happen, but I think a Watson trade is a little bit more likely, and a Julio Jones, in my opinion, is definitely more likely. Obviously, you're trading a 30-plus-year-old receiver, not a franchise quarterback, so of course it's more likely, but I think Julio is going to get dealt. I'm not saying it's going to happen today or tomorrow or next week, but I see it happening. I could see him on another team. It just feels like, the writing is
Nick,
on the wall there.
They just drafted Kyle Pitts. They have Calvin Ridley. How many receivers or how many weapons do they need? It makes total sense. If you can get 2 first-round picks for Julio, you can move him to a team that needs a wide receiver. I mean, that just makes total sense to me. I think it's pretty likely that he does. And the Falcons came out with their schedule recently, and they had, I think, 6 or 7 guys in the picture, and Julio wasn't on there. That's all you got to know. I mean, it
just makes sense. Like, why don't you at least go 1 year? You know, it's not like the NFC South is that loaded this year. You know, like the Saints, that like they don't scare you. The Panthers, they don't really scare you. Obviously, you have Tampa Bay, but you can make a run. They won it. You know, Tampa didn't win the division last year, so the division is yes, it's good, and yes, New Orleans is going to be good. But like with that offense, like if they kind of refined it under Arthur Smith with Matt Ryan, and he's got these 3 guys on the outside, like you can score with any team in the league. Why not give it 1 year and try and see what you have? I know it'll be 1 more year into Julio's deal and 1 more year, 30 plus years old. So it's tough, but I don't know. I wouldn't trade him if I were them, you know, unless you get like a huge offer and you feel good about some of the guys you have, you know, behind Ridley and Pitts, but it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, I just like Tebow going to the Jaguars. I'm a big fan. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. You know what I mean, Nick?
Yeah, that's true. We had some good rapid fire questions too for Rap. Maybe
we did. We're gonna do another.
After.
Yeah, we'll do something with Rapoport either on the app or we'll do a follow-up interview where we can get him on live on his camera. It was tough for us to book him this week. He was really busy. We got him on for 4:30, but obviously that wasn't the best time in the world also. So we'll try to get him on. We want to give a shout out to everyone in the comments. So we have Anthony P. My man's been posting all night. You're the GOAT, dude. With David Deere. That's family right there. Yeah, we have Dan Hackett on. We have Noah on. Noah's one of the uSTADIUM co-founder originals right now, killing it for us. Javier's on the stream. Salaman Jet 718 is joining all the time. Jay Ashley, shout outs to all you guys in the chat. We really appreciate it.
Rich Keck asking about why the Washington's drafting more defense. They got the best D in the league, I think, or top 3 for sure.
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up. So yeah, last thing, Nick, I have a question for you. Give me one bombshell trade that you think is gonna happen in the next month. Something's gonna drop, everyone.
Besides Julio, you remember to the Raiders?
This. Something's gonna. So you're going with Julio to the Raiders?
Yeah, I can give you another small one that I've been thinking of. Gardner Minshew gets traded and he competes in Washington or somewhere.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to go into next year. They signed C.J. Beathard in Jacksonville. Obviously they have Tebow now who's going to compete with Lawrence. So I think Gardner Minshew gets traded in camp at some point, whether, Ian mentioned about an injury for a receiver. If a quarterback goes down, who better than Minshew to come in and, he started some games. He's had some success. I think he can play in this league. I don't know at what level, but it depends on what's surrounding him. But I think Minshew's a guy who can come in and make some plays somewhere and provide like a spark. Like the quarterback that played for Washington in the playoffs last year, he came in, wasn't any good. He had a spark though. The guys rallied behind him. I think Minshew's a guy similar to Taylor Heineke who can, come in and not wow you, but can, at least move the ball on offense.
All right, Nick, I have something for you.
What do you got?
I have something potentially big, and I've been on this for a while. If this comes true, I think I might retire. I thought I was going to retire off my cryptocurrency, but given what happened yesterday, what the hell's going on in China, by the way? What's going on? I'm gonna go to China. They want to put restrictions on crypto. They're blowing up freaking rockets in the air. Pieces are falling down. They're not reporting on their COVID numbers. Why? Let me ask you a question. Why does China not get to report on their COVID numbers when COVID started in China? They don't have to report on it. So the WHO does whatever China wants. They don't have to report on the numbers. Nick, I'm running for president one day. Frankie,
is that your news?
2028. No, my news is this.
Different news.
I got on the China thing because I thought I was.
We could host a show on that. Maybe on the dark web so nobody finds it.
Yeah. I think the Giants are going to find another quarterback, and I think it could be.
Yeah, you've been saying that.
I think it could be Deshaun Watson. Listen, there is no freaking way they're going into this season and they're putting all their marbles in the Daniel Jones basket. They have to be psycho to do that. You're talking, you got Kenny Galladay. Saquon's coming back from an injury. You've invested in that O-line. Why in the hell would you go into that season? They have Sterling Shepard. They have weapons. Why would you go in with a below-average quarterback? I'm telling you, if the Giants get an opportunity to get a quarterback in there from somewhere, who knows? I think they're going to do it. And it could even be Gardner Minshew. That might be a perfect –
Fields if they didn't trade back.
Fields was, I think, teams either loved him or teams hated him. So he was kind of an acquired kind of quarterback. Either it wasn't like Lawrence or even Wilson that everyone kind of liked. I think Fields, he's looking a little bit of an acquired taste. But the Giants, I don't think they're going into next season starting Daniel Jones. I'd love to hear what people think in the comments. I could be tripping, but I don't think that's happening.
I think you're half tripping and you're half not. I agree with you. I don't think he's any good. But I think the Giants are very stubborn. They're a stubborn organization. They want to give this guy at least this 1 year and surround him with as much talent as they can with Galladay and getting Saquon back. And obviously they ignored the offensive line, which is interesting because obviously Gettleman loves his hog mollies, but going to get Kadarius Toney, Kyle Rudolph. So they obviously want to get Daniel Jones some support. I just don't think Gettleman, this is the guy that he drafted. Everybody was, pissed about him taking him 6 overall or wherever they took him. So I agree with you on one side of the argument that he's not any good and he's going to be the reason they don't win. But I don't think that they're going to give up on him this year yet. Like next year, obviously, I think they'll be in the and maybe a trade like what they did with the Bears to get another first-round pick in the back of their minds, even though they're thinking about supporting Daniel Jones and he's still their guy. Getting another first-round pick next year allows you to either move up in the draft, maybe puts you in a Deshaun Watson conversation, like you said, for next year. So who knows? Like maybe that is part of the reason. But I see Veets posted about the Mets on there.
You posted Giants. You spelled Giants wrong, Veet.
Oh, Gantz. Yeah, Gantz. He's not great at spelling in there. Gantz. Why are the Mets hurt? They're always hurt.
No, Gaints. He posted them Gaints, like Gaints. Saints. Yeah, why Mets hurt? Gaints number 1. Yeah. Oh my God! This stream's getting out of
Mets comments. Yeah. It is out of control. That's why we call it OT.
Yankees won today, by the way. Shout outs. My Yanks are back, baby. Shout outs to my man Kluber last night. Got that no hitter. Should have been a perfect game, but what are you gonna do? I think.
What's your opinion on the no hitter stuff, Frank? Is the year of the pitcher and the dead ball taking away the kind of the lust of a no hitter?
I mean, absolutely. I think we're on pace for 25 this year.
Crazy.
So it's not that big. I mean, this is the first no hitter the Yankees have had in a century. So that's
impressive. What was it, 1999 or something?
Yeah.
This century, you're right.
They say this century, which is like not. I mean, Yankee fans, we always find something dramatic to say. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out exactly why there's so many no-hitters. I mean, you're saying it's the dead ball theory. I don't know if hitters are as performance enhanced as they were. Maybe pitchers are getting new skills. I don't know. What's the reasoning for that? I mean, when I was growing up, a no-hitter, you would never see a no-hitter. I mean, you'd see one a season and it was a big deal. We're on pace for 25. Does anyone, I mean, feel free to, put something in the comments. We'll throw it up, but I don't know. We have Steve French here. That's commenting away.
The Davo's brother? No.
Yeah. So.
Shout out Davo. No, I think there's a lot to do with it, Frank. The dead ball is definitely an issue. I think the approach that hitters have with all of these strikeouts is, hurting these players. They're all swinging for the fences. There's not many contact hitters like a DJ LeMahieu. A guy like him is so rare. Everybody's either hitting 30 home runs or striking out. So I think that's a part of it. I think the spin rate, a lot of these pitchers, or the technology for these pitchers to just improve their game and their skill is definitely a reason for it. Like the spin rate is something we're all talking about now, and it's through the roof on all these pitchers. So I think it's just a combination of everything, but I think the dead ball is definitely a big part of it because, 2 years ago, before, pre-pandemic, the year where guys were hitting 30 home runs who never hit 10 in their lives. Brett Gardner hit like 30 in that year. Like the Mets had 5 guys who hit 30 home runs that season. You saw like outrageous numbers. And I think while that was fun for like the casual fan, I think a lot of people within the game didn't love it. Obviously the pitchers were pissed about it. So And also these bullpen games that are happening now. You're only letting these guys go through the lineup once or twice. And when you look at the numbers of pitchers, when they face the lineup the third time through, their ERA skyrocket. So I think a lot of it has to do with the analytics side when you're talking about third time through the lineup, the spin rate with a lot of these pitchers, and the approach from these hitters. So it's kind of like a perfect storm. So baseball's got something. I don't know if there's like a middle ground here that you can make up, but it shouldn't take away from what Kluber did last night, especially a guy coming back from injury. It's not like Kluber's a no-name. I know there's been some no-names this year who.
All right, Nick,
but Kluber's always been good.
This is a big question. 7-inning no-hitters, perfect games, 7-inning games. Should they count?
Yeah,
I think
yes.
Absolutely not. No way. No way.
They didn't choose to play 7 innings. The
MLB doesn't matter.
Made the rule, so they have to stick with it.
It's not a no-hitter if it's in 7 innings. I don't care.
Then none of the stats should count for that game.
That's like saying a sandwich.
Everybody should go 0 for 0 and just count the wins and losses.
It's like saying a sandwich that just has one piece of bread. That's not a sandwich. It's not a sandwich. That's a one piece of bread with stuff.
Playing the base.
I know they call them open face sandwiches. That's BS. It's not a sandwich. A sandwich is 2 pieces of bread. A no-hitter and a perfect game are in 9 innings. They're not 7 innings. That's ridiculous.
Okay. So then the game should not count. So why is baseball putting these games out there?
You say he. I always say I have to say he with something else now, but this pitcher, he pitched 7 innings. He had zero earned runs. He gave up 0 hits, and he gave up 0 walks. And it wasn't a perfect game, though. It was a 0-0-0 stat.
I don't think you can have your cutlet and eat it too. I think it's got to be.
I
think it is what it is. The saying. It's a game. He pitched every inning, and there was a decision.
I did. How can you go back in time and look at pitchers that have had no hits across 7 innings? And what should that be like a asterisk?
No, because the game didn't end, and it's not like who was it?
I think it's ridiculous.
The D-backs pitcher, right? The giant. His name's slipping my brain. The friggin' the guy that the Yankees always wanted. Oh my God, Splash, come in and help me here. The D-back pitcher who had the 7-inning no-hitter. Like, it's not like he went and chose for it to be a 7-inning game and said we're stopping it at the 7th inning. Like, the MLB said this is happening. This game is legit. It counts in the records for a win or a loss. So it should count for every stat should count or no stat should count. So if someone hits 3 home runs that game, should he not get credit for 3 home runs?
Nick, that's like saying, though, if an NBA game had to be cut short and there was like some sort of stat to give someone a perfect like field goal percentage game and it was cut in the first quarter, that doesn't count. Like that. You can't.
Bumgarner. Sorry.
You have to. It's easy to. You can give up 0 hits in 7 innings. It's not the. Domingo Germán today, by the way. This is how bad the Texas Rangers are, by the way. If you're a Texas Rangers fan, I feel really bad for you. You guys suck. Your hitters are garbage. Domingo Germán pitched 7 innings today, gave up 0 earned runs. You wouldn't have thought after last night you got no hit. So they stink. There's teams not hitting anywhere. I mean, you're looking today at the scoreboard. You can't find a team that actually San Francisco today actually had 19 runs. That's actually pretty crazy.
Awesome.
They're really good. That's one organization that is good year in and year out. They remind me of like the Saints or something, the New Age Saints, where they're like, there's always good, always there. But I don't think it should count at all. But we can talk about this more. I absolutely don't think it should count. But yeah, with that, we're going to wrap up the show, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We'll cut up the Rapoport interview. We'll have Ian on again, so he'll be on camera facing, and we'll get him on where he's not busy. It was tough to get him on this week. We just wanted to with some of the news coming out. This is, again, the OT with Nick and Frankie show. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. We have a lot of cool stuff coming out. Get on the uSTADIUM app if you're not. Post stuff on there. We have some cool features coming out there as well. We want to give a shout out to our producer, Splash. Splash, you a real one, bro. Homie to God. Shout outs to Jack too. Yeah. Shout outs to Henry for all the graphics that he makes. Shout outs to Jack. I said again for posting
Javi.
stuff out. Javi makes graphics for us. Javi's awesome. So shout outs to the uSTADIUM team. We love y'all. I know sometimes Nick and I are a little bit psycho behind
Speak
the
for
scenes.
yourself.
I'm like the only one. I'm like
kidding.
apologizing on behalf of you when I should just be the only one
For you.
apologizing. How many times have I done that? But
That's all right.
yeah. No, you rock, man. The fans rock. Stevie French,
Yes.
you rock, my dude. You're a good dude.
Someone above when we were talking, Frank told you to go F yourself. I don't know if you saw it.
Let's get that comment. Where's the comment?
I'm scrolling up for it right now.
Where is it? This might be the best comment ever. I actually agree with this.
I think it was my burner that you mentioned during the show.
Yeah, someone said F you, Frankie. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, my.
Who's that, Frank? Do you know him?
That's rude AF.
I know. He was in the middle of talking to
all right, I'm going to do all right, Thomas Basilios. Sounds like some of my dudes. That's a Greek last name. My peeps in Astoria. Yeah, you're actually right. It probably is. That's rude. That's mad rude. But all right, Thomas,
I respect
I'm gonna be finding you on Instagram. You'll be getting a DM from me. I'm literally on Instagram right now. All right, but fellers, everyone out there, thanks for tuning in. This was OT with Nick and Frankie, and we'll be back maybe next week.